So the first thing I want to do for this particular card is to colour these pieces. Now I've cut it out of watercolour paper and I'm going to put some glycerin on my glass tile there and just smoosh my colour blender in the glycerin because that helps things immensely. Now I've got some colours here. I've chosen 3 shades of green so I can mix and match as I wish. I'm just going to put some of this pear tart onto my piece of glass here, and I'm not going to alter the position of these because I need to know which position they go in, but I'm just going to start going around some of these pieces with the different colours. And I'm just going to go with what I think happens to look good on any one particular piece. In order for this to work, I need to put this on the precise left hand side edge of the piece of card, and the easiest way of doing that is to put the card up that way and make sure that the piece of watercolour paper goes exactly where it should do. I'm just going to put some of my acrylic varnish on here that I like to use for a glue because it's handy in that container to do very thin lines. So that one is my very left piece, and I need to put it right down to the base. Like so. Now it pays to make sure that that is well and truly stuck. Don't worry if there's a little extra on the edge, that can be trimmed off afterwards if it needs to be, but it's very important that that edge there is exactly level, because if that's out, the rest of the card goes out of sync entirely. So next thing would be one of my green pieces to go down in here, and make sure you're using the right one because it has a little roundish bit cut out on that side, so you need to make sure you put the glue on the correct side of it as well, otherwise the design will fail. And that goes abutting the other piece. Needs to go right at the top. Like that. And so you then build up your other pieces. And that one will go there, that one will go there, and then you have this one, and so on and so forth. So if when you're cutting it, you keep these pieces in the order that they came off the mat. Otherwise you might well put the wrong piece in the wrong place. So I've stuck all my pieces on there, and you'll see the importance of starting at one side and going to the other. If you start at either side, there is a risk that you won't be able to get them all to line up. And if there's any discrepancy on the outer edges, you can trim it off. If you make a mistake in the middle, you're stuck. You can't do anything else. So that's the first section of that card made, and I could, if I wanted to, put that in the middle. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to use it. I may not use it at all. I do quite like the sparkly middle, but I may not use it. Now what I wanted to do to tie in these bits with this is to use a gold pen, and what I'm going to do is just do a line in the green section, so it won't necessarily be down the middle, but be somewhere similar to. I just want a stripe of the gold. It's sort of like a pinstripe effect I'm going for. There we are. And I want to let that dry before I do anything else because I don't want to smudge the ink. That is a Signo Uniball, by the way, in gold. Okay, I've decided that if I am going to use this, I really want to darken up the edges. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of this ink pad on my glass tile, and it's Bamboo Leaves, that one. So I'm going to darken up that outer edge quite considerably. I may go back again with a darker colour, but I'm starting with one which I think is probably dark enough. Maybe not. Okay, I've got Northern Pine here, which is very, very dark. I'm just going to tap my colour blender on the actual ink pad and do a little bit. Sorry, I went out of focus there. A little bit of colour just swirling it onto that outside edge of it. I want to have quite a relatively thick band of darker colour there. Put that down. I'm just keeping about half of the blender on the watercolour card and the other half on the glass. There we go, that's better. I've got the effect that I was after now. So I'm going to let that dry before I do anything else. Right, I was looking at this and I've decided it's gone a little bit too yellow for my taste. I think it started off a bit more green, but it's gone far too yellow. So again, I'm going to tap my blender on the ink pad directly and take it directly to the edge of the card. And then blend. That's the effect I was looking for. The next thing I want to do is to put the dark green circle in here, and that will go in place like so. I hadn't decided that I was going to use it before, which is why I didn't put it in when I put the rest of it together. So if you are going to use it, it would make sense to use it at the same time. I didn't. So I'm just going to have to fit it in there as best I can. And if there's any discrepancy there, well, it's a handmade card. So, just going to put some blue in here. And fit that in with as little gap as I can manage. There we go. And then I want to put this one in there on the top. Okay, so I'm going to leave that alone until tomorrow when I'm going to do the rest of the detail. Now that I have my card nicely dry, I'm going to do some stamping, which is why I left it to dry overnight, because I had used quite a lot of glycerin when I was doing my blending here. It was advisable to let it dry really thoroughly before trying to do stamping, or I'd end up in a right mess. So I've just got a fluffy brush and some talcum powder, and I'm going to do my stamping first of all in the left corner, and then I want to do it in the top right. So I'll go over this corner as well with the talc. There we are. So hopefully that will mean that I won't have embossing powder where I don't want it. Now I have picked out a corner stamp that I've made, and I'm going to use a Versamark on that. And we're making sure it's well and truly inked up because I only want to do this once. As it happens, it is going to pretty much cover those little glue mistakes that I had on that side. There we go. Well and truly stamped, I hope. And I'm going to use some gold embossing powder. Now this is one that I made up myself. It was a cheap and cheerful gold embossing powder that wasn't very gold, so I added some gold pigment powder to it. So this will look terrible when I first do it, because the pigment powder will still adhere until it's dried. In actual fact, it's not doing too badly. I thought more of it would possibly stick on the card, but no, it's been fine. So I'm now going to put the heat gun on that. Yeah, that's one done. And then I'm going to do the stamping on the top right corner as well. And this is sort of adding to almost like the distressed, antique-y almost look of the card. So that's about right. And just get a piece of lint-free cloth and buff. So that's the finished card apart from the sentiment, which is going to go in the centre. Now I have deliberately made this card relatively plain because my thought is it's suitable for men, but you can jazz it up a bit if you wish to give it to ladies. Choose different colours if you wish. So I'm going to do a gold sentiment for the middle. So here's the finished card. I have my happy birthday sentiment put on. I cut that out of a gold glitter card, and so there we are. That's it, all done. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Take care now. Bye bye.